What is up, guys? Chick Cactus is finally back. Thank you so much for stopping by, and today
we are going to be discussing the latest kerfuffle within the Destiny 2 community, and that is players are pretty upset over what should and could have been a simple and fun Halloween event. What exactly happened and what went wrong? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today, and so let's get started. Now, this event is Festival of the Lost 2020, and I have to put that 2020 in there because this is not the first Halloween event Destiny 2 has experienced. Pretty much every single year, even going back to Destiny 1, there has been Festival of the Lost. So it's kind of confusing, and this adds to the outrage and disappointment. In fact, that's something I want to emphasize. Although people were definitely upset, like that's pretty much undeniable, a lot of that, it was not necessarily anger, but rather just disappointment and confusion. Like, Bungie, this is your, what, 6th year of doing Festival of the Lost? How do you screw it up this badly? In fact, most people were expecting that they would just copy the previous year's system, and the fact that they didn't led to so many problems. Okay, but I digress. What happened? Well, concerns started to arise when this year's Festival of the Lost content arrived on the database, and one of the first things people discovered is that there was no new weapon associated with this event. Now, for those unfamiliar with Destiny 2, usually when we have these limited time events, they're mostly just for fun and cosmetics, but almost always there's a certain weapon tied, a unique weapon tied to these events that people can go out and earn. But according to the database, it was just the previous 2 years' weapons that were making an appearance again. So people's alarm bells started to go off, but the armor sets looked absolutely fantastic. Maybe, that was just a glitch, or maybe Bungie hadn't added it yet. But then this event was fully unveiled, and it was revealed that yes, we weren't getting a new weapon, but rather the previous 2 years' weapons were returning with a twist. They would be able to get some perks that they didn't have before, and that is a reasonable compromise. Obviously, everyone would have preferred a brand spanking new weapon to go after, but hey, if we can get some older weapons that are essentially new because they have different perk pools, that's pretty good. But things started to really go off the rails when this event actually launched, because usually what we have with a Festival of the Lost event is we have one piece of somewhat new content, and that new content is the Haunted Forest. This is kind of a remade Infinite Forest. You go in, clear a branch, an area essentially, fight a boss, and go to the next branch, and go to the next branch, and you try to see how far you could possibly go. The further you get traditionally, the better your rewards, and honestly, I do enjoy the Haunted Forest activity. I think it's a fun piece of content. It's always interesting to see how far people can actually go. There is some strategy and teamwork that come along with this event, and like the higher you go, the more negative modifiers you get, so it gets harder and harder and harder. It's an event that's very accessible for anyone, but the really talented players can focus on it and really kind of just stretch how far they can possibly go. Again, it's a good event. But this year, pretty much everything I just said got thrown out the window because the main rewards are not tied to going far in the Haunted Forest. In fact, the most efficient way to get them is to actually do the very first branch, aka level, and kill the boss, and then wait. Literally AFK and play another game in the background, play Genshin Impact in the background, whatever you're doing, for 15 minutes until the event ends, and then just kill yourself, which teleports you to the chest room. That is a depressingly different than what it was in previous years, where people were reaching for those higher branches and gameplay actually mattered. So how did that happen? Well, the reward structure was changed so that while you still get a chest that rewards some unique event-specific currencies, such as candy and chocolate strange coins, and that one chest is still tied to how far you go, there's 5 other chests behind it, and those 5 other chests are the only ways to get the auto rifles, the weapons unique to this event. Previously, you would simply earn the currency from that one chest that again was dependent on how far you went in the Haunted Forest, and then that currency was brought back to Eva Levante where you could buy these weapons directly. So by you being a talented player and going further and further and further and reaching a higher branch, you were directly rewarded with more event-specific rewards. Now, again, going far doesn't matter at all. The reward chests are not tied to that whatsoever. And even worse than that, like that already would be not good, but even worse than that, you have to go and get a separate item, a Cypher Decoder, to open these 5 reward chests that actually award the event-specific weapons. So how do you get these Cypher Decoders? Well, that's where things really went off the rails. You get them randomly from doing an event. So doing a nightmare hunt, doing a public event, doing a strike, doing even a patrol. But the thing was, the drop rates for these were depressingly low. Like, really low. In fact, I was talking to a friend, True Vanguard, who I do a podcast with, The Real Gamer Hour, linked in the description, just saying. But he said he was streaming Destiny 2 and he was just playing Crucible the entire time. A 5-hour stream. 5 hours of just playing a Crucible match, loading into the next match, doing nothing but just grinding Crucible matches, right? He got 1 Cypher Decoder. That shows you how bad the drop rates are. Bungie didn't help things when they came out and said, oh, the drop rates are kind of similar to a Umbral Engram. Yeah, but yeah, Bungie, you can get Umbral Engrams from killing random enemies. If you could only get Umbral Engrams for, like Cypher Decoders, completing an activity, Umbral Engrams would be really scarce and people would be furious about that. So tying it to only the end of an activity is really what screwed everything over. So you would quite literally have to grind for hours and hours to get 5 Cypher Decoders to then be able to do the Haunted Forest, the new piece of content, and you weren't even really playing it. You were AFKing if you did want to do it efficiently. So this whole thing was built in the most ridiculous fashion. You have this new piece of actually, in my opinion, fun content, the Haunted Forest, and Bungie says, no, you're going to spend 99% of your time not playing that. And then when you do finally get to play that new piece of content, how well you do doesn't even matter. It's completely unrelated to your rewards. And if that wasn't bad enough, the chests are not guaranteed to drop these weapons. So people would grind for hours and hours, open all 5 chests, and not even get the new event exclusive rewards. Like, again, this whole thing was an utter disaster, and the lack of foreseeability on Bungie's part with all of these things, like, it is not just one thing. A lot of people are trying to say that it's only the fact that the Cypher Decoder drop rate was abysmal off the start. And to Bungie's credit, they've increased it twice since that point. They've increased the drop rate and then made it more likely to drop 2 instead of 1. And kudos to them for acting pretty darn swiftly on that within that first week and increasing the drop rate. But really, it's the fact that Cypher Decoders exist at all, which is the problem. Again, it's taking you away from the new piece of content that you actually want to play. I've been doing strikes all dang year. I've been doing public events for 6 years. I want to play the Haunted Forest because it's only here this month, right? And the fact that Bungie didn't see that is absolutely insane. And so the result of this is that most players looked at what's going on here, maybe played a few strikes to test out the drop rates, and then just said, screw it. I'm dipping. Back to Genshin Impact, back to, Modern Warfare, back to whatever you're playing, the Black Ops beta, whatever you're doing. The fact is, they're not playing Destiny 2. And that's a big problem. Remember that this event was the thing to tide us over until Beyond Light, with it obviously being delayed. The fact that this has all gone so wrong is not good. You want players to be as happy and as committed to the game as ever before you're going to drop a $40 expansion on them. If they're coming off of an upsetting and annoying time grinding Cypher Decoders, you think they're going to be motivated to buy Beyond Light? There's a lot of diehard fans that absolutely will, but don't be mistaken, there's a lot of players that are just going to stop playing and not get Beyond Light, especially because think of how many brand new players we got only recently with, on September 22nd, Destiny 2 going onto the Xbox Game Pass. So all of these brand new players, this is their first event, and this is how you introduce them to a Destiny event. Hey guys, there's some cool armor that you pretty much have to spend real money for, because you probably don't have enough Bright Dust already to get it. Oh, and have fun grinding for 8 hours to get 5 Cypher Decoders, and then not even getting the auto rifle you want. Not too good of a showing here. And this is something I think a lot of veteran players are not quite grasping. Like, we've been through it all, like the Destiny 2 launch and everything has really hardened us veterans, so it's another crappy event. Everyone's just kind of like, not that big of a deal, but you're forgetting all the brand new players who are going, what the heck is going on here? This is a disaster of an event. And so I think it's a little bit more serious than a lot of people are taking it. And so Bungie, I'm sure you guys are busy and working hard on Beyond Light, and I really expect that expansion to be fantastic, but first impressions matter. And the fact that you didn't put enough resources into this event, you didn't put enough foresight into this event, has made that first impression for a lot of new players, not that great. And I think, it's not worth it in the long run, letting these events just kind of be so lackluster, if not bad, and then focusing on the big expansions when no one's gonna buy the big expansion if they're not having a good time. And so I hope we can learn from this event going forward. There's going to be another one coming up in the winter with the Dawning, and then there's going to be likely Crimson Days returning as well. Bungie, it doesn't have to be a ton, but there needs to be a new shiny weapon every single time, and there needs to be some sort of fun gameplay loop. If there's a specific activity or modifier or something tied to it, make the gameplay loop involve that, not involve everything but, and then returning to that new piece of content for like the last thing. And so guys, that's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed, found this interesting. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That's linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.